Alright guys, hope you're all doing well today. On Wednesday's State of the Game we learned about how recalibration will work with the RPG overhaul, along with what skill tiers are and how skill power is going to change. Now today I wanted to give you my impressions of the news as well as confirm a few things that may have been overlooked, like for example 40 unique talents that are not stackable. If you enjoy this one, drop a like down below, a dislike if you didn't. And let's begin. Okay, so let me start by giving you my impressions of Wednesday's stream. Now if you watched my video on Wednesday, you could probably tell that I was pretty happy with what I heard for the most part. Now I did say in my video last Friday on my impressions with Gear 2.0 that's easy to hear something or see something on paper and it looked like a good idea. When we learned of the 3 Dark Zones before the Division 2 came out, I would say that most people, they were excited about that because, it's new, it was different, and it offered opportunities not available in the Division. But look at where we are today. It's worth me giving that example up front because based on what I heard and saw on Wednesday's stream, I was very happy with the direction chosen by the devs. And I hope that what we learned plays out in the live game as well as I think it will. So the first thing we learned about was the recalibration changes. Right now, most of you have likely got a full stash, with different variations of the same gear because of one high rolled attribute. I must have about 4 or 5 Alp Summit chest pieces in my inventory because of one high rolled stat, and this has been the case since launch. Now people have previously said, well, why don't you just increase the stash base? And that's just kind of putting a plaster or band-aid for you Americans out there, putting a band-aid on the problem and not actually fixing the problem. And we would be in the same position within a couple of weeks or months if they did that, because people would soon fill up that increased stash base because that problem still exists. Now the dev solution to this was the introduction of stat storing and what is now a new library feature within the recalibration station. The official Reddit page says this about the library feature. The goal is, instead of storing a lot of items, you store stats. For example, when you find a high headshot damage attribute on a mask, you can extract that attribute and save it into your recalibration library. Once an attribute is in the library, you can use it as many times as you want on the same item type as you got it from. So when you've extracted an attribute, you essentially learn it and you can use it from then on. To make things easier, all items that you find show if their rolls are better than what you have in your library, so you can make a quick judgment if it is something worth keeping for recalibration later. The recalibration library will display stored talents and attributes by weapon or gear type, letting players quickly find improvements for specific items. I think the biggest surprise with this new feature was the ability to essentially learn the attribute roll and then apply that to any future gear. I think most, myself included, expected you to be able to store stats but only use that stat once. Is this the right way to do it? I don't know. I like that the library has essentially become like a Pokédex where you have to catch all of the gear, the weapons and the max rolls. That for me will be a huge driving force to find everything, and that's not something which currently exists in the game and not something we would have had if the stat storing system only let you use that stat once. There are obvious concerns that once you have max rolls of everything, the game will lose that grind you would get from searching for max rolls, and I can absolutely see that becoming a future problem. The devs did address this question, however, and said you wouldn't lose the grind because you still have to find the gear that you want with all the other attributes you want and at max roll. Again, I can see where the devs are coming from with this as well. I think it's a fine balance. Personally, I want something to grind for right now, so having to find everything to add to this library is going to be awesome, so I'm actually just really happy with how they've approached this. Moving on to skill power, or what will be called skill tiers now as skill power is being removed. With Gear 2.0, skills are going to scale with skill tiers, so the higher your skill tier, the more powerful your skills are. Now the official Reddit says this about skill tiers. The skill tier is a core attribute and is the only way you can equip a skill tier. In total, there are 6 tiers, and with each core attribute that is on your agent, you upgrade it with +1. Currently, all items just add +1 skill tier, so when all 6 gear slots have a skill tier as a core attribute, you have reached the max skill tier you can gear for. Now, on top of this, devs confirmed a new state with the skills called Overcharge, where skills get a huge boost for a temporary period of time. Overcharge can be achieved through talents, gear sets, and exotics. An example given on stream of a talent was called Energize. The description read, using an armor kit grants +1 skill tier for 15 seconds. If already at skill tier 6, grants Overcharge. So You will need to be at skill tier 6 for Overcharge to actually work in this way, except there are going to be some other ways through gear sets and exotics that will grant Overcharge regardless of skill tier. The examples they gave were the ballistic shield becoming basically invulnerable when in this Overcharge state, the repair hive having very kind of fast drones for a moment, and of course a lot more. So that's essentially skill tiers and Overcharge. What do you guys think about that? Leave it down in the comments below. Now firstly, I'm happy that skills will now scale with skill tiers, because that's going to be a very intuitive way to understand how strong your skills are without having an Excel spreadsheet. When you go onto your skills, it will show you how much stronger your skill is for every skill tier, and the devs confirm that there will be some variety in the buffs that you get as you go up the skill tiers, which again is great. Having variety in what you can get from these skill tiers is a good thing. With the removal of the current skill system and skill tiers replacing it, now you won't be wasting skill power. In the live game, you may have to roll an attribute away to get a certain amount of skill power that may give you more than what you actually need. So it's essentially wasted skill power. This system, it removes that. Just like armor and weapon damage, skill tiers are going to be core attributes, meaning there will be a trade-off if you want a skill tier, the trade-off being either armor or weapon damage. The system is clean, it's intuitive, and there shouldn't be any confusion as to how strong your skills are in Gear 2.0, which again I think is a good way to go. Mods have gone from being the only way to get power from your skills to being pretty much relegated to the bottom of the table. Mods are still going to be viable, as they will add some little bits of extra power, but the main power is going to come from the skill tiers. This should mean that hoarding skill mods becomes far less of an issue, and it should also make skill bids much more accessible, as now you'll only need 6 pieces of gear to get the most out of your skills, rather than 9+ mods, all with varying degrees of power. Overcharge looks really interesting. Out of everything we heard about on Wednesday, Overcharge was the one thing I was most intrigued by, but with that intrigue came a lot of reservations. Now I'm going to start with my main reservation, and that's obviously going to be balance. The Division has suffered with balance issues for the last 4 years, and then we get this new Overcharge feature with skills, which is going to provide not only you, but your group with a huge buff for a short period of time. This has to be balanced, otherwise it's going to be a problem pretty quickly. My concern is that groups will start abusing it. Imagine 4 players all syncing the use of this Overcharge feature to ensure it's always up. One person uses it, it runs out, the next person, then the next person, and then the 4th person uses it, and by this time the first person has it back again, and the cycle continues. The devs didn't say anything about a group cooldown, but I think this needs to happen. Either that, or the cooldown is so long and the buff is so temporary that it cannot be cycled. But this brings up other issues for solo players, for example, who may not find any value in an Overcharge feature if the buff is only for, say, 3 seconds. It's balancing the issue of this new feature that's going to be one of the biggest problems for the devs, and I hope they get it right. I like the idea of the Overcharge feature, but I'm concerned about balancing and its place in the game. So that was the majority of my impressions for the stream on Wednesday, but since then a few things have been clarified. Firstly, on stream it appeared the devs said that both the backpack and the chest piece will have 20 talents. It has been confirmed on Twitter via Frederick that both gear pieces will have 20 unique talents, meaning you will not be able to stack talents, right? You've got 20 unique talents on the chest piece, 20 unique talents on the backpack, so you can't stack. I think this is why the devs said you would find many more builds viable with Gear 2.0, as there's going to be more synergy between the 2 talents, 2 unique talents between the 2 gear pieces that you can choose from. In the images provided on Wednesday as well, the devs showed how mods will look come Gear 2.0. What the image didn't show, however, which is coming with the update, are the bars used to show max rolls on gear, which are also going to be on mods as well. So you're going to be able to see how well rolled the mod is, and I believe these bars are also going to be coming to weapons for the same reason. That's not been confirmed, but it kind of has 2 weeks ago, but it kind of hasn't because no one's talked about it. I'm pretty sure it's coming though. Alright, so that's it for today's video, guys. Hope you all have a fantastic weekend. If anything further is revealed over the weekend on Twitter, forums, whatever, you can expect a video from me on Monday. But if not, I will certainly be covering next Wednesday's State of the Game, because we're going to be learning more about Episode 3. I know that we're going back to Coney Island, we've got the cleaners coming back, and we're also going to learn about the new specialization as well. So if you want to make sure that you don't miss my recap of that stream, then just turn notifications on. That would really help me out. It'd help you guys out as well. And drop a like on the video as well if you haven't done already. Would really appreciate it. Thanks for all of your support. Thanks if you stuck around to the end of the video. It really does help me out more than you can probably imagine. Thanks for all your support, and until the next one, epic out.